Well, hello, hello, and welcome to your Tuesday Truth Bomb Tuesday, your daily dose of body, mind, medicine. And if you don't know me, I'm Sarah Jane, and I am a traumatologist that helps people and animals to really get to the root cause of what's creating struggle and disharmony in their lives, whether that's disease in your body or your life or your business or your relationships. I really want you to know that you can break free of these old chains and ancestral patterns, all these holding patterns and bogus priorities, and really just upgrade yourself on a very cellular level. And I'm coming to you from the last time in South Africa. Before I leave, I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 days on my own rite of passage, my next upgrade into the unknown abyss of America. And I want to just speak again to this December solstice integration, because this week, as I talked to yesterday in the weekly spiritual energy forecast with animals, that this is a week of deep integration as we come into the solstice energies on Friday. And in so many ways, it's all about being present. What I talk to all the time, loving whatever arises and being with that now in the present moment, so that you can receive the insight, the wisdom, the lessons in all these parts and pieces of yourself. And in asking, really just inviting those parts and pieces of your fragmented soul to come home, and just remind you of what you have already learned. Because the solstice energy, hi Telling and Ingrid, lovely to see you here. Solstice is always a big amplification of what you have been creating all year long. And for so many of us, I know it's felt like this incredible deep dive where we don't even trust that we're ever going to return to the surface or have enough breath to stay down there. So just remember that whatever's going on, you are returning to the heart, to the surface, to you and belonging there. And that this is what this 1221 energy, right? It's kind of like this pillar of light that's coming in, flooding our systems, and really reminding us to allow your body to recalibrate these shifts and continue to clear out all the good work you've been doing in letting go of the things that are no longer serving you, so that you are prepared and ready for all the good that is coming your way. And my mantra has certainly been very poignant to say, I am open to receiving all the goodness that's coming my way and all the wisdom that is available to me. I am free to choose to be in the light and of the light. And I think that what is very relevant during this year, hi Jennifer, lovely to see you here, and Daria, good to see you here. So just remember, when you look at that sort of 1221 in the numerology, or just in the mirrors of the numbers, I always kind of feel this period between the 12th and the 21st, that it is dreamy and super magical, and also a little bit surreal, out of body in a way. And it really does feel like that, not even out of body, but out of the experience, where everything starts to integrate and everything starts to get stitched back together in this great tapestry that we're all connected to. And I shared this on the 10th of the 11th, where I talked about returning to the surface and being able to stay in the deep water. So if you haven't heard that, go over to my SoundCloud and listen to that one, because I think that it's at the bottom. If you sort of think about how we rise and fall and the ebb and the flow, that the 12 and the 21st energy of solstice really is that time where we integrate the lesson and the wisdom and the shifts and the clearings that we have undergone and participated in actively, and sometimes screaming and shouting. And I know this year has been a really crazy one. I can't wait to see the end of it. So if you can relate, give me a hell yes, a heart emoji. I love the poop emoji. I'm happy to receive those too. But this whole year has been very surreal, and I think we've been given this incredibly long leash to move away, knowing that we can never be separate from ourselves, or our experiences, but we can either magnify that or move towards it, come back to the heart, because we're always connected into this great tapestry that we're all connected to. And I think we've given ourselves an incredibly long leash to move as far away from ourselves as we possibly can, and to get that sense of what I call separation sickness, so that we can see what life is like when we are really deeply committed into the separation consciousness, where we feel like the world is against us, that we can't trust in life, and that things are somewhere out there, and that our power is outside of us, or we have no power because we've given our power over to other things. Or even just the idea that we're broken or damaged or not enough. And I speak to that all the time. So I just feel personally in my year, I certainly have experienced this. If you've been listening in to my Facebook lives, I've been talking about this for a long time, but just how enmeshed and entangled I've been in a lot of crazy toxic relationships, that I know that it's my time now to either fall into fear, but where I was so far into my pain and so deeply embedded in my old stories and that wounded place that I was hanging out at. And I'm so deeply grateful that I got a chance to really see, in a felt sense way, of looking at where I haven't resolved pain, or where I'm not capable of resolving pain because of the work that I've done, but really to just look at how out of whack and out of balance that we've all been. And when we're not in that place of truth and connection, and you kind of let that illusion of the not self pull you out of your true north, of your purposeful being. So, I want to just talk about and open up questions. If you have any questions as we kind of go forward, is to really ask, what is required in me right now? Where do I need to shift my energy in a good way so that I can receive in this moment? How can I allow for more of myself to be present, to receive, to let go of all the old bullshit and old programs and patterns that are keeping us all stuck? And how can I be more of me to rise up energetically and allow ourselves to descend and meet the wounded parts, the fragmented parts of ourselves, wherever you are, and love whatever arises? And I think the biggest part of this is we need to get really, really still. And it may seem very contra or counterintuitive to slow down when things are really hectic and busy and ramping up before Christmas and the holidays, or before you take your leave. But I know the kind of crazy and how insane it might be to have me hear this, to say, push pause in the world, get still in yourself, and almost like tighten up on your boundaries, because we're being given this opportunity to push pause right now. It really feels like we've been given the space to stop and take a deep breath and look at all the aspects that you have been uncovering and cleansing and clearing and upgrading and purifying and releasing. This is the time of deep integration, where I keep hearing the words of being stitched back together. And I know I'm not the only one. So if you kind of relate or resonate with that, give me a thumbs up or a heart or an emoji or a poop emoji or whatever is resonating with you. But if you kind of feel like this year has been shaking you awake, that's broken you into 100 tiny million pieces, or if you just kind of feel like you've been taken apart from your deepest knowing. I certainly have felt like that, where I've been looking at what is the core of Sarah Jane and how can I tear it open even more. And I know that there is a demand of killing energy there that is very much about shame, shadows, and feels very violent in a way. But this allowing this disintegration of self, so that all this old stuff can bubble up to the surface as we head into the full moon later this week, and to be able to look with truth and integrity and authenticity to say, okay, this is the truth of me right now. And life has been saying, well, then let me show you what life looks like. Let me show you what you're holding as true that may be a lie. And also I talk about this all the time, that we need to feel in order to heal. And when pain is present, we always create from that first. A lot of times we make hasty decisions out of fear, and it's not a good place. But if you kind of look at a broken leg, or you have a chronic condition that's maybe creating a lot of pain in your physical body right now, when that pain is present, it becomes like the biggest thing in the room, and everything becomes around how can I manage my experience around my pain, or around my illness, or around this toxicity in my relationship. And it's because this pain is showing up to say, right, the gift in depression, the gift in anxiety, I'm a little disintegrated. I'm the part of you that is still incongruent, right? The Chiron energy, the wounded healer energy of saying, I see you and I acknowledge you, so that you don't create from pain that's floating on top of the surface, like oil on top of water. But knowing, identifying, acknowledging that it's there, and then skimming off the oil first so that you can come up and breathe. So know that pain is the thing that is entangled in the story or the issue or the belief system that's shaking you to say, let's go deeper, let's explore this, let's identify what's underneath the fear, the pain, whatever it is for you, so that you can really clarify and know yourself. And if you just think about refining gold, it takes an incredible amount of heat to burn off all the sediment around the gold in order to release it. Hi, Lawrence. And it's an intense process. It's pretty brutal. So just know that when pain is present, we create from there first. It's wired into our nervous system. And I think this whole year has been about, okay, you know what? Let's sit down at this table and let me give you a dose of pain so that you can really experience what your reality is when you're denying that pain, or trying to avoid it, or resist it, or spiritually bypass it, or you're not giving it a voice or attention or whatever. But isn't it interesting how the more we sit with pain, the more we understand it, the more clarity we get, the more resolve is there for it to move out of your awareness. And once you have that moment of healing or transformation where you're able to move beyond the pain story because you've moved through the pain point, you've sat with it longer than you would like in the discomfort. And this is not magical thinking or denying it, but if you start to see as the wounds come to the surface and we resolve and integrate and release and complete, it just moves out of your auric field because it's ready to go. It's whole and complete because you are. And I don't look at emotions as negative or positive or good or bad. I just look at emotions on a scale and a spectrum of you are the one that feels. You're the one that thinks the thought. You are not the thought. You are not the feeling. So if you kind of look at the lower, denser vibrational frequencies of rage and anger and blame and shame and jealousy and the feelings of lack or worthlessness or whatever it is, those distractor implants that take you away from being present, if they're coming up, they're the ones that are saying, hey, on the scale and the spectrum, we're a little bit afraid and unresolved right now. We need your attention and your aligned action so that we can become congruent and come back to you in wholeness. And I think this is where so many of my clients, and certainly I can relate to that, is yes, we have free will, but the pain is saying to you, you need to sit with this pain and honor it as you would talk to a child, right? You still have choice, but you can choose to acknowledge it and tend to those wounds, or you can lick them and then lash out and project your hurt somewhere else. And remember, hurt people and animals. So, I don't really have a specific topic of today's Choice Day Tuesday, other than the truth of what this is and what it's been like for me, and to look at what you want to look at here, or ask me any questions. Hi, Debbie Beebe. I can't wait to see you in 2 days' time, and Will and Lawrence. So this really is, just remember, this is a journey of expansion and growth and remembering. And you have to go into the shame shadow, into these dark working places. You have to do the work in the shadows to integrate the parts and pieces of yourself so that you can allow the pain to transmute into a higher vibration of healing, which is where all healing happens, on that level of spiritual, of the spiritual body. So finding a way to live through it, finding a way to let it go, is wonderful when you keep the lesson and you learn and you become wiser in yourself. This is the personal development. It's the part of who you are that you cannot deny. It's always been with you. So, just think of all the times where your mind is constantly bombarded with information and stimulus, and how little time you actually spend just being still with it, so that you can actually feel it and heal it and then move on with your life in the present moment. So my invitation is, take a bit of time to do nothing, go into the non-doing, to go into the stillness of your heart, of your soul. Sit in silence, listen to your physical body. What is the emotional self asking of you? Listen to your mind and your mental self. What's going on up there? Listen to the energy body and just pay attention. Be mindful, be still, and be silent, because those intuitive voices, the voices of the true self that are part of your team players, that plug you into Cosmic Google or God Squad or whatever you call it, it comes from a holding space that's very silent, very still, very quiet. And those voices of our wisdom, they're never loud. And you have to get still into that luminal space so that you can actually hear it over all the noise that's coming at you at 40,000 thoughts a minute. So if you have the luxury of time to yourself and downtime during the holiday season, use it well by sitting in stillness and silence with yourself, and listen to your body, listen to your intuitive nature, your wise woman within. And I know if you've got family around you, it may seem impossible to find stillness, but it is possible to just be present with them or whatever's coming through. And my one place that I would invite you into is to just be the quiet observer, not the active participant. Observe first before you decide where to put your energy. Look at your energy management. Look at where your boundaries need to be tightened up. And remember, you're not the one that's thinking. You're the one that's observing, the thinker. So when you're engaged with family, or you're in tense situations with family that are maybe more emotionally charged, it's very easy to be in the vortex or the zone, or on your game when you're home alone. It's simple then to connect and be in a good space. But when you get out into the world and you're in relationship with other people and stuff you might be dealing with your family for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, of course it's going to be more challenging, but see the gift in that, and take on the role of the quiet listener, the observer, and look at, wow, this conversation is really bringing up some anger in me, and wow, my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandma, my cousin is making me feel like this. But own it as yourself and acknowledge it, because I think that's a really expansive way to go back into the flow of ease and grace and faith and trust when you're dealing with some of these emotionally charged situations. Hi, Amanda and Marilise, good to see you here. So we're just talking about how do you bring yourself home, and know that it's a being present with yourself, all the parts and pieces of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, warts and all. Very much like the story of Christ being born in a manger, where the holy days and these holy men, the three wise men, are bringing the gifts to Mary and Joseph. And I think this is very much about how the light is returning on the 21st, and when the days in the northern hemisphere start to get longer, and it's the Christed consciousness, the light being the stars. It's the dog star Sirius, and bringing in the angels and the oxens and the wise men that are all witnessing the birth of Christ. This is the awakening of the Christ consciousness energy within you, and all these journeys that we have been on in this physical experience, that we are going into places where maybe we haven't been in a long time. Heart emoji, poop emojis. Give me a thumbs up if you can relate to things being really shaken awake around 11/11, the September energy. And right back to the beginning of the year, we've been taken away from ourselves and noticing, why is this thing coming back? Is this Groundhog Day? Is this the boomerang effect? But knowing that this is another opportunity we are being offered, where something is recurring, that there's something you need to put your attention on and look at it, because there's new information that's coming up for you. That's the only thing, only reason why anything returns is because new information is coming through to you all the time, and it allows us to come to that moment with a deeper sense of love and presence for the part of ourselves that is angry, hurt, upset, disappointed, because now that part has wisdom. There's a gift in that. So as these parts and pieces of yourself come home and continue to come home to you over the next couple of the weeks, be open to receiving whatever the gift is, the clarity, the insight, the wisdom, the guidance, and the facts, or whatever it is, the revelations, the elevation, the aspirations to go, I am so open to receiving, and I am so grateful. I'm in deep, active appreciation that I can see it now. And if you're still confused or unsure, honor that too, that you have a deeper connection to yourself because you're sitting in the discomfort. I know we get so uncertain and we get so focused on the understanding and the why and the facts and the figures and what's visible. And I understand that, trust me. Majority of my chart is in Virgo and Libra, so it's about taking these high abstract concepts and bringing them down, grounding them into earth, and making them make some kind of sense, even in the nonsense. So the truth is, at the end of the day, the part of us that's seeking the understanding from a logical place is only the mind. It's the ego. The spirit, the soul, the creator self, the I am presence, the Christ consciousness, the God within, the expanded self, always knows. And they're in it for the experience as part of you as this being in a physical body. And it's the experience that gives clarity. It's the action and the experience that brings wisdom. And you can't necessarily always be sitting on the sidelines. You need to get into the field, into the game of your life, and be present to that, to say, I don't get this. I don't understand that. It's the vulnerability of saying, I'm going to allow myself to sit in this and engage with whatever's coming up. So I think that this week, especially, and if you haven't listened to the forecast from yesterday, please go back and listen to this, because it'll make a whole lot more sense. But just know that there's always going to be an ego part, your mental construct that wants the why. But also understand that sometimes the clarity comes in just knowing that you're letting go, or choosing in this moment that I'm done with that. And also choosing that, hey, you know what? I don't know why the relationship ended, but I don't need to know why. I just need to choose and know that this thing that used to constantly cause me pain in a short period of time, that's still painful, that I can just trust that, you know what? Do I really need to understand why my hand gets burnt every time I put it on the hot plate? And yes, some of us had to do that 3 times before we learned that the hot plate was hot. But you don't need to know the vital chemical process of that, or put your hand on a red hot burner. You can just trust that it's hot and it will hurt, that it is going to be painful, that it is not good for you. It's not in your greatest interest to do that, and walk away. And understand that sometimes the why comes in retrospect. It makes sense after the fact, after the challenge, after the pain and the heartbreak. But the requirement for understanding is oftentimes a trick of the ego. And I think that's another thing where the mind often tells us, because it's so distracted by trying to figure out why, that you're never going to move out of your comfort zone, or this false sense of illusion that you have safety, and not have to sit there until you think you've solved it or you have all the pieces, but just to trust and love whatever is arised, and not get into this tussle of trying to figure it out or untangle a knot or discombobulate yourself. And as it becomes more and more apparent to you, that the information that is unraveling in spite of you is going to reveal itself to you. So it's about trust in divine timing, being in the moment, just being present with whatever it is that's coming up for you. And that's a lot of what we received on the 12-12 energy and last week's energy forecast. And, you know, there doesn't need to be a lot of why in what you're receiving. And that's okay. Because trust me, when you feel what's present in the moment, or what came up last week with that coyote medicine, you don't need to stop and take yourself out of the flow. You don't need to miss the experience of that by trying to figure it out and get underneath someone else's crap in order to see where they're standing, which is understanding. So don't start messing and distracting or trying to get enough of something else or trying to get it right or perfect. There is perfection in imperfection. It's the contrast and the duality. So understanding that a lot of times what we need is to just be present in the experience is the experience. And that's what I want for you. So just know, open yourself up, be the space for all the goodness that's coming your way, all the love, all the lessons, all the wisdom, all the energies that are available to you. Be the empty vessel. In Kabbalah, we talk about the yin and the yang, and the feminine being the vessel, the masculine being the light that the feminine holds in this beautiful vessel of light. So be the lighthouse of your own reality. Allow yourself to trust fully that you are whole and complete and always have been, so that you can start to access whatever it is and receive the fullness of your truth in the moment and the wisdom that's within you. I have a beautiful guided meditation on my SoundCloud account where you will go and meet your inner wise woman. You can go and meet your power animal that's there guiding you. And I think the key of all of it is that you have to be willing to receive, and you have to be willing to take aligned action and implement the tools, the strategies, the lessons that are being offered to you. Even though you might want to go kicking and screaming away from them right now, just return to the heart, right? It's already in you. It's in your heart. This is a time of remembering that the answers that you seek are already inside you. They have always been there from the time that you chose to incarnate in this new, beautiful body at this time, right? All you highly sensitive empaths out there, I'm talking to you. Not everything belongs to you. So trust in the gift of knowing that you are playing your part in this red thread, that you are weaving into this beautiful tapestry of life that we're all connected to. I know that your wisdom, your insight, your energy, your love, your resources are changing this on a global scale just by being you. So remember, the world is not waiting for someone like you. The world is waiting for you and what only you have to gift to the world. You are unique in that. So trust it. If you're traveling like I am tomorrow, I wish you peace. I wish you flow. I wish you incredible experiences. And remember, people are only strangers until you say hello. So another wonderful opportunity, if you are traveling outside of your comfort zone, say hello. Offer a smile. It may change somebody's life. And remember, you don't need to know whose life you've touched. Just do it anyway. Reach out and touch somebody. Keep your heart open and return deeply rooted in the truth of who you are, so that you can rise up and elevate the collective consciousness to remember our humanity wherever you are. And I send you much love, much blessings. And the next time I talk to you, I will be in beautiful Florida with my incredibly stunning, loving sister that I miss and appreciate so much. It's been a year since I saw her. So if you have any questions, insights, if you like this video, please share it, like it, and remember, follow me by clicking follow on the Facebook page to be notified when I'm going live, because these little daily experiments wouldn't be as much joy to give if I didn't have others like you to receive it and bring your energy and your questions and your love into this sacred space that we are all holding together. So I thank you. I love you. Have a beautiful holiday wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye.